Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Prime Minister scared defends his absence from Parliament following opposition criticism and boycott of the proceedings. Government prevails in procurement case brought by the Builders and Contractors Association, and Dominica's 40th independence anniversary activities to kick off in September. The details coming up.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up in the news, the Prime Minister has responded to opposition criticism and boycott of Parliament following his departure after the presentation of the budget address. Prime Minister was absent for the opposition leader's budget rebuttal and the initial contributions from members of the House during the debate. The opposition has put forward a number of reasons why they made themselves absent from the proceedings. Upon his return, the Prime Minister said this.
Now they say the reason why they are staying out because I was absent from the Parliament. But where is the principle? They're saying that I missed Parliament for 1 day and they are staying away. But Senator Thompson has been out of the Parliament for over a year. Over a year. My responsibility as Prime Minister does not only reside solely in the Parliament. I have a wide array of responsibilities that goes beyond the shores of Dominica. But as a senator, your duty are only in the House. You're not a member of Parliament. You're not a parliamentarian, meaning you're not an elected member of Parliament. So you don't have a constituency. And he missed 2 budget responses from the leader, by the leader of the opposition. 2 of them. This senator was in Dominica a few days before the 25th and a few days before the 26th. And it's important that Dominicans take note of these things, Madam Speaker. These things are important to take note and to look beyond the masquerade that these guys are putting forward to the people of Dominica.
On Thursday, the Speaker announced that she had received a letter from the Prime Minister requesting permission to be absent to travel overseas on an urgent matter. On Friday, the Prime Minister in Grenada at the time handed over chairmanship of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union ECCU during a ceremony which preceded the 91st meeting of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan has characterized the leader of the opposition's complaint about the Prime Minister's absence from Parliament as absurd and childish.
The Prime Minister has no obligation to sit in the House at any particular time or day. He addressed the nation on the budget and he had the right to leave to do his other constitutional and legal work, including as chairman of the Monetary Council, meeting at a date that was convenient to all of the Prime Ministers. And to hand over the chairmanship of the council to Dr. Keith Mitchell. But the hypocrisy is so obvious, but it doesn't seem to strike them as obvious and as obnoxious, that they have boycotted and ridiculed the Parliament and now want to complain because the Prime Minister was not present for 1 day.
Government has prevailed in a court matter in which the state hired a Barbadian company to rebuild the West Bridge for 18 million EC dollars. The Builders and Contractors Association of Dominica, headed by Anthony LeBlanc, took the state to court for what they claimed was a failure to adhere to the provisions of the Public Procurement and Contract Administration Act. LeBlanc's position was that local contractors were bypassed and the project awarded to a foreign company. He believes there has been a refusal to implement the Public Procurement and Contract Administration Act No. 11 of 2012. As a result, he does not believe the awarding of the contract for the West Bridge was done in an open and transparent manner. Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan says he is not surprised that the Builders and Contractors Association lost its case.
One of them is simply that if there is a contract or negotiations for a contract before the coming into effect of the Act, that those negotiations and that contract or a condition precedent memorandum of understanding for a contract would be exempt from the provisions of the Act. That has been the position of the Prime Minister, the then Minister of Public Works. That was the position that the lawyers put to the High Court in response to submissions made by the Trinidad legal team led by Reginald Amo SC on behalf of the Builders and Contractors Association. They lost because the judge accepted the indisputable fact and the indisputable evidence that the contract, negotiations for the contract were well on its way, and a memorandum of understanding was executed long before, sometime before, or whatever time before the coming into effect of the Act. As a result of which the case was entirely hopeless and she refused to grant them leave to proceed. There are other provisions in the Act that the Leader of the Opposition and the Association keeps omitting to mention. There are a number of them. The one in particular gives the Minister and the government the authority to do direct purchasing or shortlisted purchasing or tendering processes in the face of an emergency. We argued that in relation to the West Bridge following Erica. The judge didn't think it necessary to deal with that because she struck it out on the first ground that the Act did not apply. And there can be no question that whatever procurement is taking place now is being done under two provisions. One, the emergency provisions, and secondly, the fact that donor-sponsored or donor-funded projects are also exempted from the Procurement Act. But the Leader of the Opposition and the Builders Association keeps, by their complete and absolute silence, denying the existence of these provisions.
In more news now, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Agriculture Honorable Reginald Austri has pointed to predial larceny as one of the lingering challenges facing the agriculture sector at this time. Speaking at the House of Assembly on Tuesday, the minister appealed to those who help perpetuate this problem to cease doing so, as it's unfair to the hard-working farmers of this country.
What we need to ensure is that we do not encourage predial larceny, Madam Speaker. When people bring food for us and we know they don't have a farm, we must not buy it, Madam Speaker. And that goes for everybody. That goes for us, that goes for politicians, that goes for the general public, and appealing to the public. If you know this guy doesn't have a garden and he comes to sell you food, you should not buy it, Madam Speaker. If you know this guy is not a farmer, he doesn't have pig, he doesn't have goats, he doesn't have cows, and he brings cow meat for you to buy, Madam Speaker, stay away from that, Madam Speaker, because we're encouraging theft, Madam Speaker. And, Madam Speaker, when you take the farmers' produce, you must pay the farmers for their produce. You must pay the farmers for their produce, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, I know that there are farmers in the north who sold produce to a particular entity, hucksters, Madam Speaker. After they came boasting that they had discovered this huge market in Martinique, they took the farmers' produce, Madam Speaker, and they have not paid the farmers, Madam Speaker, for their produce.
Mr. Austri says black sigatoka is another issue still posing a challenge for the banana farmer.
Banana, with all the challenges, it's the fruit of the century, Madam Speaker. And there's very little that we can do without bananas and plantains, Madam Speaker. The farmers out there, we expect, Madam Speaker, by the middle of August, the farmers should be able to produce for us about 120 boxes, 1,200 boxes per week, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, we have to tighten up on our black sigatoka control, because that is proving to be a problem.
The Deputy Prime Minister has also defended the 2018-2019 budget, which was passed before Parliament adjourned sine die on Tuesday. Austri says it's not so much the size of the budget, but the circumstances which gave rise to such a budget and the expected outcomes that matter. Austria believes this budget will decide whether Dominica sinks or floats. He believes this budget is unprecedented in that not many other Caribbean countries have had the opportunity to, as he put it, reconstruct a country following a major disaster such as Hurricane Maria. You're watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, a warning against complacency as we approach the peak of the hurricane season.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fence pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. September 23 is the date when activities for Dominica's 40th independence anniversary will kick off.
2018 was dubbed Reunion Year, with activities initially planned to take place throughout the year. However, due to Hurricane Maria, the plans had to be curtailed, with the focus being placed on Dominica's Creole season. Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence says preparations are in place to host a reunion celebration this year.
A formal announcement should be made soon on the program and on the reunion. So, of course, all the details will be given then. But Dominica is celebrating 40 years of independence this year. We are going to be celebrating a type of reunion independence this year from September 23rd to the 4th of November. And the theme was decided from since last year, My Love, My Home, My Dominica. The logo has been decided, and the sub-theme, which has been added on to the main theme, is Building a Resilient Nation.
While not revealing many details, Lawrence says Dominicans should expect more events on the calendar as it is reunion year, and the official opening ceremony will be on a grander scale.
And yes, we are looking forward to a packed program, because usually independence is packed, and maybe this year there may even be more activities because of the 40 years of independence. We are planning a grand opening of independence at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. We had tried it in 2008, it was 10 years ago. And we had tried it twice before that, when we were 21 years and when we were 25 years. So now this would be the fourth one, God willing. But it's a grand showcase of Dominica's talent using the field. If there's no stage, we use the entire cricket field of the stadium.
The Chief Cultural Officer, who is also chairman of the Independence Committee, encouraged the public to play its part in ensuring successful reunion celebrations.
Sometimes you find, and it's not a criticism, people, depending on what all you're doing, you know, what is the committee doing? And sometimes we need to ask the question, what can I do? You know, that is what I would want to promote for the reunion. Not so much what all you doing, but what can I do?
Dominicans are being cautioned to be on their guard as the 2018 hurricane season progresses.
Dominica has entered the third month of the hurricane season, with the season's peak starting later this month. Both Hurricane David of 1979 and Tropical Storm Erica of 2015, two of the more damaging weather systems to affect Dominica, occurred in August. Just last month, Dominica was under threat of being affected by Tropical Storm Beryl, which gradually weakened to a tropical wave. Consultant with the Office of Disaster Management, Cecil Shillingford, is urging Dominicans to remain vigilant throughout the 2018 hurricane season.
They have to be on their guards. They have to listen to the information that's coming out from the National Disaster Office, from the Met Office, and take action when they are requested to do so. There was too much slackness for Hurricane Maria. People stayed out quite a bit. People did not listen to the warnings that were given in terms of moving away from waterways and rivers and the sea and things of that nature, and we saw what happened.
Shillingford also shared his views on the use of social media during times of disaster and warned the public to be cautious of the information being disseminated via social media.
I think it can be good and it can be bad. It is just another medium where you can disseminate information, but people just have to be careful with the information they get out of it, because we have a lot of people who are not responsible, who are on social media, and they will post everything. And we've found situations where people would post something and say it is as a result of Maria, and when we look at it closely, we recognize that it is something from the past. It was an Erica picture, or it was a picture of Dean or one of the previous hurricanes. So we just want people to be responsible, both in their posting and sharing information, and the people who are receiving information to be careful in what they consume.
The country is on a mission to recover and reconstruct as many houses as possible, and Shillingford pointed out that, unfortunately, some contractors are taking advantage of the situation, which is unfair to homeowners and can slow down the rebuilding process.
And from what I'm even gathering is the cost of labor is also an issue, because some of the people who are coming in at a certain price, and then the locals hearing that are looking for that same price. So it creates a burden now on the homeowner who doesn't have that kind of money to spend to deal with their housing situation. So there will always be problems along the way, in this recovery thing.
The Solid Waste Management Corporation is working with the authorities to strengthen relevant legislation as it prepares for a ban on the use of styrofoam and review of its operations. Idono John Baptist reports.
The ban to take effect come January 1st, 2019 will include styrofoam cups and containers, plastic straws and plastic cutlery. General Manager of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, Florian Mitchell, says they are making moves to prepare the necessary legislation to coincide with this development and clamp down on indiscriminate littering.
Legislation is just going to enforce and to ensure that the material is not going to be brought in. So when you eat your stuff, let's say you have your nice container, which is not styrofoam, but you're still asking the public to ensure that they dispose of it properly. That is where enforcement will come in and kick in to ensure that the different laws, for example, the Litter Act, the Soil Management Act, the Environmental Services Act, the enforcement component of it is strengthened to ensure that, okay, we're banning, but then if you were to dispose illegally, then the necessary authorities should be able to deal with that. And I think that those are the areas that we need to just strengthen. And we are actually working with the police, again, developing a monitoring system for the island for an entire year. So we have already received blessings from the Commissioner of Police. So we are looking at the fine-tuning the details, and then we should be able to implement those things.
Another aspect of legislation would address importation of alternative material that is more environmentally friendly.
You're looking at the Ministry of Trade would be a player, you understand? You're looking at the soil waste management would be a player, because you'd have to change your tariffs and the incentives to probably allow for the alternative material to come in. And I think one of the issues that we were hearing is that some of the alternative material, because of the way it is manufactured, it's a bit more costly. So in there too, we'd probably want to see tariffs and those things probably be a bit lowered. So in terms of the importation, to be easier to be imported. And in terms of the cost that the consumer at the end, that it will not be too expensive for us when we would be using those material within the 2019, effective January 2019.
Mitchell says stakeholders are also working on a year enforcement plan of action.
As I said, we have been already in discussion with the Chief of Police, who have actually given us his blessings on the activity that we want to implement. And we wanted to have 1 year program, not just like 2 months, 3 months, but we believe that comprehensive year plan of activity geared at enforcement. Not just on our end, but pulling the stakeholders, the police, environmental health, soil waste, village council, forestry, agriculture, those entities that have legislation that hinges on the environment. So we're trying to ensure that all the different sectors play their role in ensuring that the pronouncement is just not a pronouncement, but the other mechanisms to ensure that this is enacted and to ensure that the law, in terms of if I were to drop something illegally, that there are mechanisms in place that will be able to flag that quicker than what it is now. You would see less bags of packaging material from the famous fast foods in Dominica that we see them all over the place. You would see less of those things on the street.
Government's decision to announce the ban on styrofoam in this national budget is in response to recommendations by the Solid Waste Management Corporation. Idona John Baptist, Channel 5 News.
And small and medium-sized businesses within the Eastern Caribbean have been provided with a wider reach to access credit within the financial system of the ECCU. A newly established Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation and Credit Bureau will facilitate this development. Prime Minister Skerrit said these measures are among several critical initiatives taken under his chairmanship of the ECCB Monetary Council. He was addressing the handing over ceremony to mark the change in chairmanship on Friday.
In addressing the deficiencies in the flow of credit to key economic drivers, our main areas of focus are the creation of the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, acceleration of the process for operationalization of the Regional Credit Bureau, acceleration of legal reforms to support access to finance, and in Dominica's case, for example, we have established a private-public sector committee to address this matter.
The Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation entered into force in May 2018, while the Credit Bureau will have an operator by September.
This corporation will provide partial guarantee to financial institutions on loans to small and medium-sized businesses, thereby increasing the access to credit for growth and job creation. With respect to the establishment of the Credit Bureau, the ECCB, with the World Bank Group, conducted public awareness education sessions for credit information providers and relevant public sector entities in our member countries. Following a request for proposals, 2 firms have been shortlisted by the Evaluation Committee. The Evaluation Committee, comprising 1 representative each from the ECCU Bankers Association, Credit Union Sector, OECS Bar Association, Business Community, and the ECCB, is expected to make a recommendation for an operator by September 2018.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Prime Minister Skerrit defends his absence from Parliament following opposition criticism and boycott of the proceedings. Government prevails in a procurement case brought by the Builders and Contractors Association, and Dominica's 40th Independence Anniversary activities to kick off in September. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.